Divine rise, blessed be to your day. May it be everything you require to create everything you desire. I want you to break the glass ceiling. I want you to break the glass ceiling. But we don't get into that at the end. But first, we're going to get into the maintenance of attachments. The maintenance of attachments. When it comes to maintaining the maintenance of attachments, it's kind of like going to the gym. It's like kind of like going to try to go do your workout and you're trying to go get try to go get abs. You already have abs. But if you don't remove the dead weight, then you'll never see the abs. That's the same thing when you're maintaining the attachment. A lot of us will come into a space with ourselves where we try to hold on to things. I talked about this last night during the show. When it's coming to this transparency with ourselves. And I talked about it when we rose yesterday. When I was talking about, are you building in your truth? Or are you building based on the routines? And then we talked about assessing those goals. We talked about those emotional traps. So today we're going to talk about maintenance of attachment. The thing that can be stopping you is trying to maintain the old attachments based off those very old routines. Your routine way of waking up, your routine way of escape, your routine way of control, your routines that you built into yourself based on routines. I asked it yesterday to you during the show. I was like, how many of the conversations have you had that you really comprehended versus you took what you needed from the conversation in order for it to make sense to your argument inside of your mind? Honoring your thoughts. As I learned to honor my thoughts and give myself that limitless potential through my LLC mentality, that ownership mentality, that means taking accountability for my actions, taking accountability for my responsibilities, taking that assessment to myself. I also thought about those attachments. A lot of the times for myself, I found myself trying to maintain the number one status based on attachment. So when it came to my old jobs, when it came to old aspects of myself, I was trying to maintain the attachment or the allure to being number one in that space. So I would compartmentalize. So it's like, but what I noticed was when I kept doing that, I always kept hitting that glass ceiling. I never could go past. I could see everything on the other side of that glass ceiling. I could see everything on the other side of this glass wall, but I was afraid to break it. I was afraid of what I would see as I started breaking through that glass. I was afraid of the shards and how it would show my reflection to me in that sense. I was afraid of going through the ugly stage. I was afraid to go through that period of time. But as I started understanding with myself, as much of us understand when we come into our healing, is everything that you do has an ugly phase. Everything that you do, I don't even like saying the ugly phase. Everything that we do has this not so pretty, not so lovely image to it. It's unfamiliar to us. Every stage that you go to is going to have a stage in it where there's going to be this unfamiliar sense. You're not going to recognize yourself. Every time you're going to that next level, there's going to be a stage where you're going to feel unfamiliar. You're not going to recognize yourself. Every time you level up, there's going to be that stage where you're going to look unfamiliar to yourself. You're not going to look the same. Things aren't going to taste the same. Things aren't going to feel the same. Your senses is going to be off. You got to go through that period. That's your defining moment. A lot of us like to skip or try to go past the unfamiliar phase, the dark night of the shadow, the learning ourselves stage, because it's going to make us unfamiliar. When we try to maintain these attachments of what's familiar, what we were used to, now that we're in a new space with ourselves, mentally, you in that new space with yourself, you're learning how to cultivate your spiritual stamina, which is going to give you that emotional endurance, give you that emotional clarity that you're looking for. Those attachments is what's going to stop you. Maintaining those attachments is what's going to stop you. Because they based on the old definition of you. Your old attachments, the things that you were attached to, they maintain the definition of the old you. They maintain the definition of the old you. So as you're sitting there trying to break through this glass, you're trying to break into your new self, you're trying to break into this nuance, this new wholeness of yourself, that's what you're going to be looking back at. That's what you're going to be looking back at. Because now, think about it. I want you to visualize it like this. I love doing visualizations. Imagine you looking at the glass outside. Let's say you looking at the glass outside of a department store. You're looking outside of the glass at a restaurant or whatever, and you're looking through the glass. And now you looking at this glass, and now you see your reflection, and you're like, ooh, I want to go in there and try that. I want to go in there and try that food or try whatever's in there. But now behind you, the attachments that you gathered based on the lower self, that's what you see reflected behind you. What's the first thing that you're going to think? I remember from my times like coming into that space, I would look back and I'd be like, they can't come. Or you say these things to yourself, they can't come, or they're going to be loud, or they're going to be this, and they're going to be this. But what does that say about me? I started really looking at, as I started taking ownership of myself, as we start to take that ownership, you start taking that accountability, responsibility for yourself, and you start realizing that you are that company, you are that brand, you are that platform, you are that LLC, you are that company, you are that inspiration. We speak these affirmations to ourselves. I am the best. I am gratitude. I am love. I am greatness. But we don't want to face the attachments that are anything but. We don't want to face the attachments that are anything but. Those are the defining moments. The things that are unfamiliar to what you say that you are love. The things that are unfamiliar to you, unfamiliar to that frequency, are the first things that are going to come up. Those are going to be the first things that you come up. The more that you embrace the love of yourself, the more that you're going to see the old aspects of yourself, friends, family, jobs, whatever it may be, you're going to start seeing the lack that's within them. That's going to be the reflection of the lack that was inside of yourself. It's okay. Be gentle with yourself. Learn yourself. I had to really look back at that. I was like, but no, what I thought, based on how I thought. As you come into this higher aspect of yourself, you're going to stop going based on what you thought and start basing on how you think. I used to look at it like, but I thought what I was receiving in that space was the definition of love. So I built my life based on that definition of what I thought love was. If we had more of this, then maybe they would have shown more love. If they had more of this, then maybe they would have shown more discipline. And then we start trying to fill ourselves up, making ourselves weight ourselves down, because we trying to fill ourselves up. And then we're like, well, maybe if I go do this, then maybe they'll catch on. Or maybe if I do this, then I can make this space like that space on the other end of that glass. separating myself. I want you to break the glass. I want you to break this glass. I want you to break the glass walls that you put around yourself to keep yourself looking really, really pretty, but it's really just suffocating you. I want you to break that glass ceiling, that salary cap that you put onto your energy. You put that limit on your own energy. I don't want to go too far, because if I go too far, then what does it say about everybody else? Everybody's going through their own path. Everybody's going through their own stage. Everybody's going through their own path, own stage. They got the stuff that they got to do. That's how you got to look at it with yourself. Everybody, just like I have my path, you have your path, we have our paths. The key is, if I'm sitting here in this space, if I'm looking at it from that angle, that transparency, this sense of transparency, then I can learn. I'm not going to judge. I can learn. I can set my boundaries. I'm no longer in this space where I'm going to compartmentalize or make myself look at things through a bias to stay within the space. I'm no longer going to set that limitation to myself. This is the key as you cultivating yourself. How are you cultivating your energy? Are you cultivating your energy based on routines? Or are you cultivating your energy based on that, finding that purpose, finding your path? Are you cultivating your energy based on finding your path? Or are you cultivating your energy based on those old routines? I woke up today. I ain't got to do this today, so I'm just going to sit here. Well, I woke up today, so, okay, cool, now I got to go do this, so let me go do this. That's the routine. It's time to break those routines. You know why you set that routine, because it made you feel, it gave you a sense of purpose. It's time to define your purpose. It's time for you to define your purpose. What is your purpose? What do you want to do? What's stopping you from doing it? Is it that doubt? Everybody does this, or everybody does that, or everybody's done this. You ain't done it yet. What's going to make yours different? Your brilliance, your identity, your truth. You're putting your truth into it. That's how you build your truth. That's how you break that glass ceiling. But if I do this, then I'm not going to make the same money I'm making over here. The money is the byproduct. If your energy, if you're cultivating in your truth, then that's naturally going to come. When you're working in your gift, everything naturally is going to come into that space. But if I go over there, because I thought the same way all the time. Whenever I was shifting from jobs, whenever I was trying to shift careers or open up into something, and I always got stopped based on that. I'd be like, man, but I'm not going to get what I got over here. So when I came into that space, I was looking at individuals like, but they got their stuff going on and they got their stuff going on. And I lost the ability to celebrate that I was in the right space. I lost the ability to celebrate. I lost it. I was like, but everything that's meant for you, is meant for you. Everything that's meant for you is meant for you. And it's going to come to you. Stop looking at the comforts that you see other people building. You don't know how long that they did it. You don't know what they did to do it. That's where you can get stuck at with your ego, get you stuck there. Well, they did it this way, so if we do it that way, or if I do it that way, then we can do the same thing. But then if I do it the same exact way as them, but the cycle is always the same with them, I never look at the other end of the cycle. See, I cut myself off. I become biased. But if I do it the way that they did it, that means I'll have to be in the position that they're in. You're not meant to be in that position. You are in the position that you're in right now. It's time to break that ceiling. It's time to break that glass ceiling. It's time to break that limiter that you put onto yourself. It's time to break that limitation that you put onto yourself. It's time to break that crutch, that handicap that you put onto yourself. It's time for you to step into your greatness. It's time for you to step in being fucking great. This week, the podcast, this week's episode on the God Hour podcast, we got into those emotional traps based on those doors, those blockages, based on compartmentalizing our life, and now we learning how to set boundaries. The God Hour show, we talked about transparency. Tomorrow, Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we gonna get into breaking that glass ceiling. Tomorrow, Gotta Call Alchemist, YouTube Live, Friday night lectures. We're getting into breaking that glass ceiling. We're getting into learning to apply past the intellectual of what we know and actually start to apply it as we're learning more and more how to honor our thoughts. That's how you tap into your intelligence. Your intelligence, your genius is simply the want or the desire to do. That's all that's all genius is. Your genius is the want or the desire to want to do it. That's your genius. You cultivate your intelligence, your magic is already present. Just by you wanting to wake up. When you wake up, that's a symbol of your genius. How you use your genius when you wake up, that's what gives you your intelligence. How you wake up, that first time when you wake up, that's what gives you, that's what grows your intelligence because you learned. How you lay yourself down, that's what gives you your intelligence as you learned. When you go into bed, how you use that energy, how you cultivate it in your true aspects of yourself. I used to be one of the most, I didn't realize how pragmatic I was and how pessimistic I was because I got stuck in, well, I did not say it the way that they said it, so I'm not being pessimistic. I didn't say it the way that they said it because I didn't say it the way they said it, so I'm not pragmatic. I didn't do it the way that they did it, so I'm not the problem. I didn't react the way that they reacted, so I'm not the issue. I was trying to take away all accountability to my growth. I was always putting it on somebody else. This is the reason I can't grow. This is the reason I can't do this. Because I was stuck under that glass ceiling. Based on what I knew. Based on the conversations I was having with myself. It's time to change the conversation. It's time to change the tone. It's time for you to tap in. It's time for you to tap in. The relationship, I talked about this before. The relationship that you're trying to embrace, go look in the mirror real quick. Take these, after you're done with the video, take the next 5 minutes, go look in the mirror. That's the relationship you got to get right. That job, that abundance, that cultivation of that money, that cultivating of that energy that you're trying to get into, that's the conversation that you need to have with that the man or the woman or the god or the goddess or the king or the queen or the adept or the initiate you got in the mirror. That driving force, that energy, that driving force, that clear lane that you're trying to get into, the clear port that you're trying to fly into, go have that conversation with you in the mirror. That's what it's time to have that conversation with. Everything may seem chaotic as fuck, but that's what's going to drive you. I want you to be the best. It's time to break that glass ceiling. It's time to address the emotional blockages. It's time for you to assess your plans and your goals. It's time to assess the plans that you put to those goals. Because a lot of times you might have achieved the goal, but you were so stuck on a certain result that you didn't even embrace that you graced the world with that goal. You beat that goal over and over and over again. It's time to break the routine. Start building in your truth. I love you. We love us. Ashe.